Kellyanne Conway, thank you for making the time. Appreciate it. Did you write this book because you were trying to correct the record about yourself or the president's record? What was the goal here?
The goal of my memoir is really to tell the story behind the stories. Many people are very interested to know from where I've come, what motivates me, how I became the first woman in United States history to successfully manage a presidential campaign, why Donald Trump chose me, what I did as senior counsel to the president, and really how I feel about the tweeting men in my life, a boss and a husband who were constantly on Twitter communicating when I was not. And I was talked about and spoken for and spoke on behalf of the country so many times, and yet I didn't tell my story because I felt I was a public servant on the taxpayer dollar. And for me, people think they know me and people think it's fun and it's for kicks and clicks to make fun of me, make fun of my hair, my looks, talk about my family and the like. But there's a whole other half of the country that feels a different way about me. But I also think that President Trump, over time, history will show that he deserves a ton of credit for getting a great number of accomplishments completed on behalf of the American people, not least of which are trade deals, including with Canada and Mexico, Korea, Japan, and even China.
Well, you touched on a lot of things that I want to ask about, so that was a good start. One of them, and I bring this up because I think it's one of the things that Canadians would remember about you, is that the quip about alternative facts.
Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts to that. But the point remains
alternative
that
facts?
Of course, you said that when you were trying to explain Sean Spicer's false claims about the crowd size at the inauguration. Why did you use those terms in that interview?
So alternative facts was literally a gaffe. I melded together things I was trying to say, not to explain or defend what Sean Spicer had said, because I had just spent 38 minutes giving 3 Sunday Show Network interviews, CBS, ABC, and NBC, looking into a blank camera in the freezing cold outside the White House as the very first person in the Trump administration to do so. And I had no notes, no net, no staff, nothing. And that's okay. I'm used to doing that. The anchors who are watching me have a lot of people around them, people in their ear, the teleprompters, the notes, and a whole bunch. But alternative facts was a gaffe. That was never meant to. It was a misstatement that I corrected immediately and many times since. The reason people keep alternative facts alive is because I've spoken millions of words and they don't have much else to go on, frankly. They need to do that to try to diminish me, to try to try to get the president to be mad at me and fire me and people to pretend that we're just a bunch of liars. So I would never lie to the public through alternative facts.
I would say, Ms. Conway, yes, you say it's a slip of the tongue, and sorry to interrupt you, but it was a pattern with the president to misrepresent facts. He did that hundreds and hundreds of times, and it's documented. And I wonder if it became a thing because you had a boss who liked to play pretty fast and loose with the truth, to say the very least.
I believe people kept alternative facts alive because the mainstream media could not get enough of me during the campaign. I was on TV 7-8 times a day. So I have a living, breathing video catalog of what I thought about each state, our campaign strategy, the fact that Trump was going to win. I said it many times on the record. These other people did not pretend they did because they can't do what I did, frankly. Donald Trump wins, and that was not part of the implicit bargain. The implicit bargain was, oh, here comes Kellyanne as a campaign manager in the last few months. So now we have a fair fight. We can have her on to explain things. He said, we have Chick-fil-A and Big Macs piled to the ceiling. And somebody said, they're not piled to the ceiling. They're only this high.
Yes, I understand that, but you represented the president and the administration, and he certainly made a lot more false claims than about hamburgers. But let me go back to something that you do say in the book, that you were the first person in his inner circle to tell him he didn't win in 2020. The president has actually since responded to that and said that is not true, that you were not, and that he would never have accepted that claim. So why do you think he chose to respond like that to what you've said in the book? And what does that say about what he thinks of you?
Well, I know what he thinks of me, and I know what great work we've done together, and nobody can change that. I had in my email the night before a statement he was going to put out, which was very highly complimentary of me, the book, the work we've done together, and quote, maybe we'll need to do it again. So obviously someone got in his ear overnight and he made a different call, but that doesn't wash away the years of great work.
You write a lot about, and you mentioned it off the top, the strain the strain in your marriage that the president and your husband, these counter tweetings. And I'm only asking, obviously, because this is in the book. This isn't me digging into your personal life without you having written about it. Your husband, time and again, tells the world that you're working for a madman. At one point, he says you've ruined yourself and embarrassed the family. Really painful things, I would imagine.
My husband's opinion of the president affected me greatly. He was crying on election night in his black MAGA hat. He was all for Donald Trump and Mike Pence winning. He would come to the campaign night after he was finished with his own job to help out. And as I write in the book, people say without Kellyanne Conway, Donald Trump would not have been elected in 2016. That's debatable, but what will never be in doubt, without George Conway urging, encouraging, and frankly insisting that I take my shot in 2016. I could never have been the campaign manager to the extent I was. He drove me to Trump Tower the day after and the 2 days after the Access Hollywood tape came out to make sure that I didn't quit. I stayed on board. You have to do this. He came to that final debate and took the red eye home from Las Vegas. So the facts are the facts. And if you want to know the facts, these are the facts. We moved as a couple and as a family to Washington, D.C. I would never, as a mother, move my family, put my kids in whole new schools. So yes, George's opinion of Donald Trump mattered a lot to me when we were making decisions as a family. He changed his mind. He's entitled to do that. Who cares, by the way, that George is one of 80 million people who voted against Donald Trump? Right. Who cares? In other words, that's America.
You write a little bit about Canada, both our immigration system and, of course, the renegotiation of NAFTA. At one point, the president calls Justin Trudeau two-faced and took him to task for his defense spending.
Well, he's two-faced. I called him out on the fact that he's not paying 2%.
But I'm just wondering from your perspective, what was the nature of their relationship? Was it a good working relationship?
My belief is that Donald Trump, as president, was pushing for America first. And I think Justin Trudeau, as the leader of Canada, was pushing for Canada first. And I think they were both great jobs on behalf of their country and their people. I've met Mr. Trudeau many times. We've always had a very cordial relationship. But I think more importantly, I think your question is excellent in this way. I want the Canadian people to know that my own view and my own experience of their interactions and of the issues they worked on was that these agreements, including the USMCA, the new negotiated old NAFTA, I believe it benefited all three countries, Canada, the United States, and Mexico, which should make everybody happy. And it was forged not out of confrontation, but out of collaboration. Mm-hmm. And I think it's incredibly important that leaders of countries who don't agree on everything can work together.
You write about what Donald Trump tapped into, obviously, and how you became the campaign manager that fueled that movement and tapped into, obviously, many Americans relating to what he was saying. Do you see any other Republican candidate right now who could tap into that movement?
It's an excellent question. It's on the mind of many Americans as 2022, Rosemary, and then 2024, quickly after that, come into focus. Donald Trump's America First movement is branded by him, the Make America Great Again. I actually think America First is even a more apt way to talk about the policy accomplishments, because Make America Great Again was aspirational. It was a promise. He was going to do that, and he explained what that meant. He meant border security, meant national security, meant bringing back the manufacturing base, recalibrating, and modernizing these trade deals, and it indeed did, including with our great neighbors to the north and the south, Canada and Mexico. But Rosemary, I think what Donald Trump did, I've said many times, he didn't run a conventional political campaign. He started a movement, and people felt like they were a part of the movement: forgotten man, forgotten woman, forgotten child. And so I think he'll have to go first with his decision on whether or not to run for president.
Sorry to interrupt you. Would you want to be part of that rematch?
Well, we'll see if the president would like to have me. I believe that elections are about the future, not the past.
But just to be clear, you would do it if he asked you again.
Depends what the role was, and it depends what the campaign is about. I mean, I give Donald Trump enormous credit. I think he transformed American politics. He was willing to take a chance. He's a risk taker, but he's also a savvy businessman. He's a leader, and he had also had the #1 TV show, et cetera. He knows when to fold and when to hold them, and he doesn't like to quit. He doesn't like to lose. He saw a winning strategy there, and it's he who won that election.
Thank you for making the time for Canada. Do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Rosemary. God bless the people of Canada.